A short while ago, I was sitting at a restaurant and a, a, a kid, a boy of maybe uh, 10, 11, 12 years old, which later on I came to know, understand that it was a neighbor's kid who I never, really knew or still don't know, came up to my table at the restaurant and saw me sitting alone. I was sitting alone and having a meal, and he turned to me just right out of the blue. Came next to me and looked at me and said, "Are you gay?" I looked at him. I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What?" It took me a little time to figure out where is this coming from. I looked at him. I said, "No, I'm not gay." Then I looked behind him and I noticed that he's with his parents. The little boy was with his parents, his mother and his father, like, and they're a little looking at me, a little smiling. So I turned to them and I said, they're Hispanic. So I turned to them and in Spanish I told them, no, I'm not gay, but I pointed at the woman and looked at the man and I said, but no quiero para jefe, which I believe, I might be wrong, but which I believe it means, but I don't care for a boss. So here is the thing. Uh, from a young age, I love women. I love women, I'm a heterosexual. I love women. I love women's figure, the hourglass figure that women have. I adore that figure, and I used to make figurines in different of women's posing in different poses. Uh, Little figurine sculptures of either wax or clay or whatever when I was in my teens. So I was fascinated and intrigued by the women's figure, especially the women's, full figure women with a hourglass shape. So I always enjoyed them, and I love sex with women. But also from a very young age, I realized that uh, through personal experiences and through, you know, observing other people, I realized that uh, you cannot be your own person and be with a woman at the same time. You cannot be your own man and be with a woman on a permanent relationship, in a permanent relationship on a long-term basis, and still keep some kind of identity for yourself. Because right off the bat, as soon as the women, whoever you're going out with, girl or woman, they sooner or later the women know, and the girls will realize sooner or later the power of their pussy, and the power that their pussy has over uh, you know males, and they realize that they can get the men to modify their behavior to the woman's liking if they use their pussy appropriately. So after realizing this, I really, I lost interest in having any kind of long-term relationship with a woman that would make make us exclusive to each other, and sort of like entering into a relationship in which is monogamous, and you cannot have the morally you would not, morally or legally or both, you would not be able to have any kind of sexual relationship outside of this exclusive arrangement. So I decided that no, I'm not going to pursue any long-term relationship with a woman. And to just to give you another personal experience, as if to make the point of what it means that you have to modify your behavior is I was 16, 17. I picked up this girl for the first time. We were going on a date, and she turned to me and said, it's like the second sentence after she entered my car, she sat in my car, she said, don't you know you have to clean your car when you're picking up a girl? And I'm like, so you're telling me my standards are not good enough for you, so I have to strive to reach your standards if I want to be with you? Well, after after going through a couple of these instances of women that you go out with, give you hints of what they considered as what they expect how they expect you to behave in different situations regarding different matters. Then slowly, or if you're a little smarter, rapidly you realize that you cannot keep true to yourself, but then you have to strive to please her. And that's the whole phrase of happy wife, happy life. Sort of like, so I'm not important, my standards are not good enough, and I have to strive, I have to struggle, I have to do whatever necessary in order to please a woman so she would select me to be with her. That's a little slavish kind of a deal to me. Maybe not to you, maybe not to other people, but to me that seems like at the best of situations the man becomes a sort of a slave boy of the woman, a slave boy, a guy who's there to please her, to meet her needs, what they call a butler, the butler effect. You become the butler to a woman, the manservant to a woman's needs and wants and aspirations and desires, and pretty soon you're running in the hamster wheel just to please the woman, just running in the hamster wheel to keep the lights on because the woman likes the lights on. Having the lights on is not that big of a deal, but then you realize women by nature are insecure creatures. They're very insecure. It's the nature of being of the weaker sex. It's the nature of having at the back of their mind the idea that they need to secure, they need to find or put together a very secure habitat for their offsprings, and this whole idea that women have all about security and tight and secure and safe for my brood, for my children, for my offspring. So the mindset of a woman is always an insecure mindset. It's always it's striving for more and more and more security. That's who women are. And this striving for more and more security in today's consumer society means bigger place and more stuff and a bigger car with airbags and with this and with that, and this has to be like this and that has to be like that, and a good school and a good this and a good that and a good this and a good that, and you put all these together, it becomes a monumental task that a man has to achieve in order to satisfy a woman's desires and needs, and that in order to make this insecure creature feel secure. The man has this monumental task of trying to make this by nature insecure individual, a woman, feel secure. That's a monumental task. It's a sort of like, I can sleep in my car and not feel insecure, but try telling a woman that let's sleep in our car, and she would be she would go off on you in a second. It's sort of like, no, as secure and possible with 6 locks on the door and a security guard in the front, and that's just how women are. That's how women are. They're insecure by nature, because nature has built them to feel that way in order for them to raise their offsprings in an environment that the offspring would end up well, supposedly, live, to reproduce, and so on. So the point is this, and considering in today's consumer economies that all these extra stuff are offered for security and prosperity and safety and all of that, and on top of that, you realize that women, not only they are insecure by nature, but also very conservative. Women, you don't, beside Joan of Arc, you don't see many revolutionary women. Women are not known to be revolutionaries. So there is a Joan of Arc, and that's about it. On the other hand, you have thousands of revolutionary men. That means women are by nature conservative. Conservatism means that they want to follow. Wanting to follow means exactly what the Joneses have. They want to have, to look just like the Joneses. So consumer society, insecure individual, and the Joneses means that you got to be running on that hamster wheel forever to keep up with the Joneses, because your woman wants to keep up with the Joneses. And your woman feels insecure, and the woman wants this, and the woman wants that, and before long you're going to be, turn into a hamster, taking orders and running on the wheel. That's not a very appealing. On top of that, losing your own style, your own perspective in life, because everything has to change because happy wife, happy life. If you want to live in peace, you basically have to change everything about yourself, and until it pleases the woman. I was going out with this other woman, woman, whatever, and she basically she was like, no, you gotta, I don't like these shirts, the shirts that I like to wear. I don't like these shirts. You have to change. You gotta go another way. Wear solid colors. I'm like, okay. I started wearing solid colors, but then you realize that, okay, that's the first step. Then the next step, then the next step, then this, then that, then the other, and before long, I'm no longer me. I'm what she wants me to be. How I dress, how I walk, how I talk, what I talk about. Freedom of speech. A woman would never, because of her fear of consequences, would never allow me to, for example, make any of these videos, because if you want safety, you don't talk out of line, you don't state your opinion, unless a lot some influential individuals are backing you. You don't state your opinion, or you only state your opinion if very influential and very prosperous individuals are backing you. And so a woman would never agree with me having these talks, making these videos, because of fear of consequences for herself, especially for her offsprings. So that cuts into my freedom of speech as well. A woman would be forcing her man to be more conservative and not to talk out of line, not to state his opinions if those opinions are very different from the opinions of the majority. So again, women become a force for conservatism in the society by forcing their men to act like the Joneses, act like everybody else, put your head down and work. Start running on that hamster wheel. So you put it all together, it's sort of like being with a woman. You may have sex. The sex is going to be supposedly on the regular basis, but you're not going to have anything else. You're not going to have your own personality. You're not going to have your own style. You're not going to have any kind of freedom of speech. You're not going to have. Your behavior has to be very modified to a very conservative behavior, in order to make the woman feel safe and secure. Then what's the use of living? You're having pussy, but you're not having anything else. And from what I hear on the other side of the coin is that many men get into these marriages because they think that pussy is going to be available on a regular basis to them. But then you hear from them that no, that's not the case. Marriage doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get regular pussy as well, regular sex as well. Marriage is only going to be, it's a contract in which you enter, in which you promise not to seek sex with anybody else as a man. So that means you have to only have sex legally. You can only expect sex from this one woman. And that's even worse, because now the woman has you by the short and the curlies. Woman has got you in a contract in which says you only have to, seek sex with this woman and no one else, no other woman. And now you definitely have to please her all the time, rise to her expectations all the time, follow her rules and regulations all the time if you want to have any kind of sex. Because, some of my friends, some of my people I know, they don't care about the contract they signed. They don't want their woman to have that much of a hold on them. So sometimes they do what they want to do, and the consequences the woman is not going to put out. So they don't mind deceiving the woman and going and seeking sex outside of marriage or outside of their exclusive relationship. That would be deception. I'm not that kind either. I don't like to deceive the person I'm living with. I don't want to deceive the person that I'm in a long-term relationship with. So you have, this is who I am. I have on one hand, I don't want to be the woman's, manservant, and I don't want to lose myself in order to gain pussy, gain the woman. I don't want to lose myself in order to gain a woman. But on the other hand, I know that if I go it my way and try to keep some aspect of my who I am, I'm going to lose access to the pussy. In short-term basis, whenever she feels, I have not behaved appropriately or done the right thing or said the right thing or whatever. And I'm also not the kind that says, okay, I don't care if, you don't put out, I will go seek pussy outside of this relationship, because I don't want to deceive my partner. So, you're in somebody like me finds himself between a rock and a hard place. I want to keep my own who I am. I don't want to change, modify myself like you modify a rat's behavior by giving the rat treats, good treats and bad treats, and punish and reward and punish and reward until you can modify a rat's behavior. But then, so as a human being, I don't feel I should be, pussy should be, as a reward punishment kind of thing in order to modify my behavior. That's how women use their pussy. It's sort of like as a, the reward punishment kind of thing to modify their men's behavior. I mean, recently, of course, sometimes in a good way. Recently it has been in news. Many, civil wars in Africa have been stopped by women of both sides who told their man that no, you're not getting any sex unless you stop fighting. And I guess that's a good thing. Thank you to those women. But but then you realize, these men they're so in need of the sex that they're willing to modify their behavior to such an extent that actually stops a civil war. Well, in that case, it's a good thing. But then, in many cases, Cleopatra, so famously, is known for starting wars by her pussy, by the power of her pussy. So, as a logical person, as a reasonable person, as an analytical person, as a human being, I don't want to be treated like a rat. To have this pussy used as a reward punishment kind of treat to modify my behavior. But if I enter a relationship and I say I don't care, I'm not going to modify my relationship because of pussy treat, then she's not going to put out, and I have to seek pussy outside, which makes me a deceptive person, lying and cheating on my partner. So the whole thing becomes a no-go for me, no-go zone. I don't want to deceive anybody. I don't want to lie to anybody. But on the other hand, I don't want to modify my behavior either to please another. Totally. I mean, you modify some behavior, both sides have to. But here's the difference. I understand that logically, both sides have to modify some of their behavior in order to be able to coexist under the same roof. But the problem is that this equation is not equal. The two sides are not equal. A woman can go months without sex. A man needs sex on a daily basis. So since the two sides of equations are not equal, you cannot say that the both sides are going to modify their behavior to the same degree. The woman knows that she is the factor, she's the main factor, whether in that moment they have sex or not. Then the man wants to have sex all the time. And this is not just human beings, this is all animals. All animals, the male is just producing this sperm all the time continuously, and if you leave it up to male, the male wants to have sex all the time. You have famously, you have these in the history, you have these men that the more money they had, the more wives they had, because sometimes they wanted to screw 3 times a day, so 3 different wives, 5 different, 12, 200 wives, 500 wives, all in this mythology and this history. There is these men with so many wives because the man wants to have sex, and it's just the woman who's willing, who's in the mood, or is not in the mood. So as soon as a girl, women, they all know this, but as soon as girls realize that the power that the pussy has over men, that they can, like a faucet, they can open it, close it, open it, close it, and by which they can modify the man's behavior, then it's game over. There is no equality in a marriage. There is no equality in a relationship between a man and a woman, because there are different needs, and if a man tries to have sex in this today's age, if the man tries to have sex with his woman, and the woman is not in the mood, and the woman has decided she doesn't want to have sex because for some reason the man didn't follow her rules and regulations, then that would be considered rape. But I've noticed in the news that actually, married women have accused their husband of rape, and the husband has actually got in trouble. So, sort of like, okay, she told me to take out the trash, I didn't take out the trash, so she said she doesn't want to have sex, but I still wanted to have sex. So if he does, the woman can scream rape, because I didn't want to have sex and he forced me on myself. Well, and why didn't I want to have sex? Is because he didn't take out the trash. So something as simple as not taking out the trash can send the husband to jail with as a sex offender. So I'm sorry, it's just and we understand that the man needs sex on a daily basis. So either the man decides that he's going to accept to do everything that the woman wants because he needs sex on a daily basis, and he has to do his best to please his woman every day if he wants to have sex every day, or the man can say, okay, I'm going to have a wife, and then I'm going to have 3-4 different relationship outside of the marriage, because I don't want to, sometimes I might slip and not forget taking out the trash. I don't want to end up in jail as a sex offender because I forgot to take out the trash. Okay, I may forget the trash, she's not going to put out, let me have this 2, 3, 4, 5 girlfriends on the side that I can reach in the short notice to get my rocks off. And that's just some men go that way. Men who are comfortable lying and deceiving their partners. I don't want to do that. I'm like, it's not logical. If you agree to enter a partnership, you have to be straight with your partner. But then you realize that your partner is going to eventually learn how to use the pussy as a tool to modify your behavior. And if you also don't want to have your behavior be modified and be micromanaged, I mean, women have reached to such a, some women are overusing their sex by literally micromanaging their husbands. I mean, I'm sorry, my penis is not that important to me. To be willing to have a woman micromanage my behavior because of my penis, because my penis has this need. I'm going to let a woman micromanage my brain. Because of my penis, I'm going to let a woman micromanage my brain. That's just a no-go. That's just a crazy thing to do. I'm sorry. I rather I rather keep my brain and not service my penis. Or if I do, it's going to be on a very short-term basis. I personally draw the line at moving in with a woman. A couple of times, 3, 4 times it has been that I've been with women, women, and the relationship after a couple of years, 2, 3 years, it has reached to a point that I never suggested. It has reached to a point that she suggested, why don't we move in together? That's where I draw the line. I would, not talk about it. She would insist on it. At the end, it would be like, okay, let's either if you want to continue this relationship, we have to move into it together, or not, or break it off. At which point, then, I just I walked away, or she walked away, because I feel moving in together is the point at which she can really exert this modifying. She can exert her force. I mean, as long as you're not living together, you can consider that as a kind of open relationship, that you can have a couple of girlfriends, and if someone doesn't put out, you just approach another. But once you start living together, that's when morally you're obligated to be monogamous. And because I knew that the moment we start living together, I'm going to have to modify my behavior. If I want pussy, I decided that's where I draw the line. I'm not going to move in with any woman. So that's the thing. So it's just it is what it is. So, and later on, as the years pass, I figure out that since all women at the end, their objective is moving in together, having a closer relationship, and becoming permanent partners and moving in together, and I already know that I don't want to go that route. I never want to move in and become have my behavior modified like a rat. I decided that it would be even deceptive of me to approach a woman to start a relationship, where all along I know that this relationship is going to be very short term, and I know that in her heart she wants a long-term relationship. So again, that's another thing that again you don't want to deceive anybody, but then you realize just proposing a relationship while you know that you're looking for a very short-term relationship, a non-committed relationship, but you know that the woman eventually wants to have a committed relationship, you realize that at the first go you're deceiving the other side. You're lying. You're approaching because of short-term needs, and she wants long-term need. And you know that. Therefore, you are deceiving her from the get-go, and that's kind of, not me. So this modern social structure that we have put together has become a little awkward, to put it mildly. It has become a little awkward with regards to the relationship of the sexes.